Genetic genealogy has revolutionized how investigators solve cold cases, building out family trees that lead to a suspect or identifying remains that have sat for years as simply Jane Doe.
And tonight's Unsolved is focusing on the latter. Katie Jeffries is on your side with how a Jane Doe's ancestors could reveal who she is.
She is case number 754-93 at the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, a Jane Doe whose identity has remained unknown for more than 3 decades. With genetic genealogy, they've been able to determine her ancestors, but narrowing down the family tree from there has been a challenge. And before investigators can look into her murder, they need to know, who is she? It was a normal afternoon in 1993. 2 young boys were playing basketball at the end of their cul-de-sac on Seaship Place when the ball bounced into the woods near their home. They went after it, but what they found was terrifying. A dead body, down to just skeletal remains. Detectives from the Flagler County Sheriff's Office responded.
They determined that she was Native American, between 25 and 35 years old at the time of her death, and was there between 2 and 3 years.
Detective Sarah Scalia with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office says the initial investigators went through missing persons reports but didn't find any that matched. And that could be because her race was unclear. The first detective said she was Native American, but the medical examiner's report states she is white. But more recently, DNA testing has revealed both were wrong. She was actually African American. She died from blunt force trauma to the head. And to investigate her murder, detectives first need to know who she was.
That's step 1. We have to identify her to know what happened to her.
This was the first facial recreation done in 1993. Detective Scalia says while it was done with good intentions, it isn't very accurate. So in reopening this case, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office asked one of the premier forensic artists in Florida, Autumn Crick, with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office to help with a new recreation using the information they had from DNA and the original skull. This, investigators believe, is a better representation of what she may have looked like. With still no leads on who she could be, Detective Scalia says she turned to genetic genealogy. And there, the trail started to heat up. DNA says she is a descendant of George Washington Coleman and Clarissa Minnick. The couple lived in the late 1800s.
And then from there, we're going down the tree. So Clarissa and George had 12 children. Their 12 children had multiple children. So the branches of the tree are all over the place, spread out.
Most of the Coleman-Minnick family are in the Aiken and Edgefield, South Carolina area, but some have branched out to Florida. Detective Scalia says the members of the family have been cooperative. She's been working with Danya Williams, a member of the Coleman-Minnick family and a co-owner of Genealogy Adventures, to help build out the family tree of more than 300 descendants and to see if anyone recognizes this woman.
They don't know. They just simply don't know. The ones that we've spoken to, they have absolutely no idea who she is.
Williams says her focus is on figuring out who the parents could be, which she thinks will then unlock the woman's identity.
But we're really focused on the grands, that is her parents, so they're born between the 30s and the 40s.
It is unknown if she lived in Florida or if her body was just dumped here. But considering she's believed to be between 20 to 35 years old when she died in 1993, Detective Scalia and Danya Williams say she had a life, friends, maybe connections to family. Someone has to know who she is.
We wanted to put her to rest properly, and she wants to be found. Her ancestors want her to be found, and I think that it should be done.
For now, her body remains at the medical examiner's office in Flagler County, waiting for the day she finally gets her name restored, and then the investigation into her murder can begin.
I want to reconnect her with her family in whatever way I can do that, and then give the family some kind of resolution.
If you have any information in this case, you're asked to contact the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Katie Jeffries, First Coast News, on your side.